Hello, Avila Advantage students. We are now in week 7, so we're quickly approaching the end of the course with only 2 weeks left. So hope everybody had a great Thanksgiving break. This week we're going to work on chapters 14 and 15. So and get back to our weekly forum discussion. In fact, this will be our last forum discussion. So try to pick an article related to those chapters and a recent current event article, just kind of a reminder with that. So when looking at chapter 14, you're going to look at the percentage of sales method. What we're trying to do now is we're trying to look at pro forma statements, projecting out that if our company is going to grow at a certain rate, obviously, as we make profits, we can make the decision whether to keep some of that profit to reinvest back into the company or we pay out to the shareholders in the form of a dividend. So if our company is growing rapidly, we're going to probably have to come up with some additional capital needs. We may borrow money through bonds, we may issue more stock, we may take out a bank loan. But what you're going to see, and you're reading these chapters, they talked about discretionary financing needed. So there's going to be some kind of plug that we put in there for now. But later, those within capital markets and the Treasury Department can decide how we want to raise that capital. But there's going to be some needs, because if we're growing, if I need to build new stores, more inventory, I'm going to have to go out and acquire some more capital from somewhere. Also within this chapter, you're going to talk about a cash budget. In running a business, I remember when I was in cash management, we'd always have what we call looking at borrowing funds through commercial paper markets. And I would tell the commercial paper brokers that I have certain X dates, that I can't have everything maturing on this date because I have payroll coming due, but think about all the expenses that come through a business. You have to manage that. You have to be prepared to know how much cash you have on hand and be able to borrow in the markets. And whether at the beginning of the day, do I have enough to get through the rest of the day, or am I going to have to borrow, or do I have extra and I can invest a little bit in a money market? And that's what kind of leads to the next chapter, in chapter 15. It talks about working capital management. And obviously for businesses, they talk about the cash conversion cycle. How quickly can I get that cash back in the door? Ideally, you want to collect from your customers as soon as possible and delay payment to vendors as long as possible. In fact, I think a famous company, Dell, has gotten it to where they almost have as soon as they make it, they ship it, and they don't keep much inventory, because inventory has an opportunity cost associated with it. So the longer that we have our cash outstanding for customers that haven't paid us yet, we still have to go out and maybe borrow money, so that's a cost. So we want to try to reduce that cash conversion cycle, but it's inevitable we're going to have to borrow some funds too. And that's where they talk about the short-term credit markets and the cost of borrowing. So should I take advantage of a trade discount? If I pay early and I get a 2% discount, almost all the time the effective annual cost of not doing so always behooves you to take that discount. And you're going to look at the cost of these trade credit, the cost of short-term borrowing. You think about the different methods. There's everything from borrowing from your bank to issuing commercial paper to going to the extreme of factoring. And factoring is probably something you want to avoid because it's a very expensive way. But when companies get in cash crunches, they may have to go out and be creative in the way they raise short-term cash. You want to be in a position that you're somewhat liquid, but you don't want to have too much cash on hand because those are opportunity costs. But the problem is when things go poorly for you, the markets are less likely to lend you cash. In fact, they're going to increase your borrowing costs. So it's a fine balance. As a manager of a company, you have to kind of make sure, what is that sweet spot for the amount of cash that you keep on hand. And a lot of that chapter discusses this. So, well, that's it for this week. So I'm looking forward to talking to you online this week. But otherwise, have a great week and take care.